ZSMJ railing away, switching target to the Witch Doctor. A magic missile is going to be thrown on the Witch Doctor. GX should have been targeting the Witch Doctor the whole time. He was targeting THE for a little bit. They do pick off Vengeful Spirit for the first blood, but in return they got the Witch Doctor. So I mean, that was a fair exchange on both sides. You can see both sides did a lot of correct things. They chose the correct target. They chose Witch Doctor as the target. The Alchemist stunned the right target, and the reaction rate was just insane. Vengeful Spirit popped into the minimap just for a split second. Immediately you saw Scourge pinging like crazily. We're gonna see the reaction rate for the Scourge team once again, and it's gonna be very important to point out. Slow it down to 1x speed. Where is the Vengeful Spirit? Okay, Vengeful Spirit is gonna be roaming around again. They do have a ward here, so they do see Vengeful Spirit, and I want you to see what is the reaction rate for the Scourge team. Vengeful Spirit just barely went into the minimap range. Maybe 2 seconds they do see Vengeful Spirit. Now, of course, they have lost sight of Vengeful Spirit. But here is one of the biggest mistakes that Nirvana makes. Nirvana, Alchemist, despite not seeing Vengeful Spirit there, they know Vengeance there. He should be brewing up immediately. However, he does not, and we're gonna see what happens next. Now, if he had brew up, that was maybe a 2-second stun they could have casted. But even if they threw the stun there, well, THC could have followed with a dual breath. Probably Witch Doctor could cut around through these trees and just throw some stuns off. Would have bounced off on the Crystal Maiden pretty well. So without brewing there, they actually lost a big opportunity for Nirvana and China. But again, we're going to see how it plays out. See Venge doing a good job running back to his teammate. Now the cast finally being brewed up. They're going to throw on the Crystal Maiden. These two stuns being popped off immediately on the same time. So that was a little bit of wasting stun. And I have to say, look at the time that the cask was thrown. 110, I believe. 1 second ago the cask was thrown. I'm not sure if you guys know, but Witch Doctor cast has a 20-second cooldown. And I want to point out the next time that Witch Doctor is going to be using cask is going to be 130 exact. 130 exact. And I'm going to point out why that's important later on. So cask was thrown at 110, so is the Alchemist stun, and we're going to see what happened. We're going to see a dual breath, of course. Before dual breath is going to pull out, a nice stun being popped up by Vengeful Spirit. And you focus on THD. And notice what great blocking by THD. Forces the Crystal Maiden to, force the Vengeful Spirit to take the kill. 130. Oh, that was 130. 131. That's exactly 20 seconds later, a cast is being thrown out. One really important thing is that you really gotta know what the cooldown of the most common heroes. Of course, you can see your own cooldown because there's a picture on your lower right here. There's a picture of your little skill, but you gotta know cooldown of every enemy hero, at least all the common heroes. Now, I'm not too sure ZSMJ has planned it and has looked at the clock. Okay, he threw the cask at 111, so the next cask is coming at 131. Of course, ZSMJ probably did not plan this, but it's probably a good idea to know things that are cooling down. Keep in mind, in the very beginning of this DCDH number 2, I said knowledge is an important factor of Trilane. So just to fill you up with knowledge, of course, Witch Doctor Cask is a 20-second cooldown. Crystal Maiden Nova is a 15-second cooldown. Crystal Maiden Bite, which some players prefer Bite first, is a 10-second cooldown. I think Sven and Earthshaker both have 15-second on their cooldown, I want to say, on their stun. Vengeful Spirit has one of the shortest cooldown, 10-second cooldown, so that's why Vengeful Spirit is probably one of the best initiator in Trilanes. THD has a 10-second cooldown on Dual Breath, and I want to say Line has a 12-second cooldown. I'm not too sure it was 12 or 13, but I'm pretty sure it's 12. So again, these kind of knowledge, especially, you gotta think, in a Trilane, the fights last about 20 seconds or so. So you gotta know, okay, well, Nova was already casted, so maybe in a 15 seconds or so another Nova is going to be cast. So these are tiny little things you got to keep in the back of your head in this very action packed team fight that's going to be going on. So just a little bit recap of what you just saw on the screen. Witch Doctors did some insane blocking on ZSMJ that forced the Vengeful to get the kill. So despite losing THD there, they at least forced the support hero to get the kill. ZSMJ did not get the kill. We did see Alchemist brewing up to stun the anti-mage, but luckily ZSMJ got out barely before the cast was thrown. If the cast was thrown before he blinked, ZSMJ would have fallen down. So these are just very tiny things. Now we see the reinforcement coming back for the support heroes there, and everyone turns back. Notice how even the team fight was. 2-2, and this is not the 2-2 that we saw in University Soldier versus MYM. This is complete even because both teams are very high skill. Both teams did not make a lot of mistakes. The only mistake I had to point out was the Nirvana Alchemist did not brew when the Vengeful Spirit was there. But the Vengeful Spirit was fogged, so there was some excuse for him there. But you can see that both teams are limiting their mistakes very like they basically made 1 or 0 mistakes, and that's huge. Again, it goes back to the Witch Doctor not throwing the cast here. Both teams are chain stunning properly. Both teams are targeting properly. Last time they targeted THD there because the Vengeful Spirit got him targeted. ZSMJ started targeting him, and it was just perfect targeting. Of course, Witch Doctor was targeted in this fight over there as well. So both teams know who they need to target and how to initiate and how to position. So we're seeing some top-notch Trilane play here, and hopefully, out of all these tiny things that these two teams did right, hopefully we could learn some of them from some of the correct things that they did right as well. So I already gone on for a pretty long time with DCDH number 2, what they did right here. So just a little bit recap. The most important thing, and the 3 most important thing in a Trilane is being the correct position. Most importantly, you gotta be close enough to your support, close enough to carry to bail him out if he gets stunned, but still spread far out just enough so you're not within the big AoE lineup's range. Of course, if you're not against any AoE heroes, you're gonna be okay. But that's really rare. You're not gonna be you're not gonna face any AoE heroes in a Trilane. Of course, the second thing in position is you can't really be, going to hunt for a rune, going to place a war. You can't just be 8 miles from your team. Generally in Trilane, it's best to stick, as 2 or 3 here. As we in that very last replay we saw, both of the Chinese teams are sticking very close to each other in terms of positioning. So that's very important for positioning in a Trilane. Second thing, it's very important to take advantage of your stun time. Again, showcased by the MYM versus US in the first clip I show you, that little mistake by MYM has cost them 2 kills by the Earthshaker, and that was really well played by Earthshaker, salving up and clearing up immediately. And also you have to keep in mind, it's really important to take advantage of your chain stun time because all of the damage in the Trilane is not dealt by your spells. All the damage in the Trilane, or at least a majority of it, is dealt by the right clicks afterwards. So the longer you could chain stun the enemy, the longer you could right click for, and that's the majority of the damage. So that's really important to chain stun properly. The last thing about Trilane is knowledge. I'm gonna go back to very beginning of this DCDH one I talked about. You cannot really prepare for every single Trilane because there's just 1,000 different combination with 6 heroes in 3v3. There's just 1,000 combination. So it really just comes down to who has better knowledge, who has better experience, who has more experience in playing a Trilane. So of course, watching this video would just not make you a pro in Trilanes overnight. It just give you the basic tool, give you the basic knowledge to perform a little bit better. So next time when you guys are in game or maybe watching a pro replay, just pay a very close attention to the Trilanes and look at what the little things that they did wrong and little things that they did it right. I mean, that Earthshaker in the first replay, the cancel and clarity, that was a tiny thing, but cancel and clarity like that could have a huge ramification later down the line. Similarly, MYM team chain stunning improperly in the first game, tiny little thing, but again, you witness how big of it was when the mistake was built up. So I hope you guys learned something from this Trilane analysis. I'm gonna go back to DCDH number one. I have to thank you guys for a lot of comments being made. If you guys are into hotkeys or the waypoints, a lot of viewers left really helpful comments in the comment section. I do advise you check it out. The comment I've personally found to be most helpful, so helpful that I even learned something, and I'm gonna incorporate it into my own game, is left by Trilanes, who told me that you could hotkey so maybe hotkey 2 or 3 shops under one hotkey. So shift select 3 or 4 shops, and control 1. So the next time you're using those shops, you could just hit 1 and use your tab key to cycle through them. That trick could actually save you a lot of hotkeys, and allow you to hotkey a lot more things other than just shops. So that was a pretty cool tip that I learned from Talon. So shout out to Talon. Thanks man. And so similar to that, if you have any question for Trilanes, if you have any helpful comments for the other viewers out there, just feel free to post them, and if you have questions, I'll definitely answer them as well. So I think that's it. Hopefully you guys learned something from this Trilane analysis, and I know it was very detailed, but again, DCDH is gonna hopefully help you guys to play this game very optimally and learn from the small mistakes and small things that the pro players are doing right. So that's it. This is DCDH number 2. Luminous signing off. GG.